Well, a question. Your spiritual you isn't confined to the material body, is it? You can't leave it because you aren't in it. No, no. When I say I, how are you going to localize that? Here behind the eyes? In the chest? In the foot? Now where am I? If you cut me open, will you find an eye? No. No surgeon has ever yet found any me inside of a body. I am not in the physical, absent from the body, and present with the Lord. And the moment that becomes more than a sentence, more than a doctrine, you will discover the door that was never locked because you were never shut in. You were never in the body to be freed from it. Listen again. In him we live and move and have our being, not boxed in, not parceled out, not measured by inches or pounds. You cannot imprison the infinite in the finite, and you cannot hear the voice of infinite law with ears tuned to the finite self. Only the I that is not in the body can hear, trust, and obey cosmic law. If you try to hear with a localized self, you will hear superstition and fear. If you try to obey with a localized self, you will attempt to use God. Thou shalt not. I and my Father are one, not occasionally, not when the room is quiet and the incense is right, one always. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. This is not poetry. This is the operative center. Here the law speaks. Here the law acts. Here the law fulfills itself without pressure. Until identity is rightly located, the two great commandments will sound like hymns for a Sunday, but not like a compass for Monday. Thou shalt have no other gods before me will be a slogan on a wall, not the architecture of your life. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself will be a sentiment, not a circuit of power. You see, if I think I am a private, scared, hungry self in a perishable container, I will try to use God as a tool, get, grasp, guard, and law will not be used. Law is, be still and know that I am God. Be still, not to manufacture a presence, but to cease pretending absence. No, not to collect facts, but to rest in the fact that never for one instant have you been apart. The kingdom is not somewhere else. The kingdom of God is within you, not within a brain or a bone, but within consciousness, within the very I that is neither in nor out of a body. So begin where reality has already begun. Withdraw the false localization gently, not by fighting the body, not by despising it, but by removing the thought that you are in it. Sit, if you will, and let the body be comfortable enough to be forgotten. Let the inner ear turn from the rattling of wants to the whisper that does not need to be loud to be God. Wait, not with a motive to get, but with a willingness to be. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. Say it softly and let it say itself. In my oneness with God, I find my completeness. In my oneness with God, I find my safety. In my oneness with God, I find my peace. And then, when the old fear rises and says, but what of my life, my family, my body? Answer it with truth and not with argument. I am not in the physical. I live in God. I live as consciousness aware of its source. The law that governs stars governs me. It is not personal, not partial, not bribed by tears or rank. It is the one cause, and I am its expression when I am quiet enough to let it be. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Say it again, not to make it true, but to hear that it has always been true. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And the door that you thought was locked opens, because there is no door, only presence, only oneness, only law that can now be heard. Now, when the door stands open and the law is heard, take heed, break it, and it breaks you. Not because a deity is insulted, not because a judge is angered. No, because a principle fulfills itself. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Do you see? The harvest is of the seed itself. Gravity does not scold the child who lets go of the toy. It keeps faith with its own nature, and the toy returns to earth. Mathematics does not weep. When you write 4 + 4 is 9, it remains itself, and your sum refuses to balance. So it is with a great law that arranges galaxies and breaths alike, impersonal, exact, nonpartisan. This must be stated plainly, or you will spend years trying to curry favor with a principle that has none to bestow. God is no respecter of persons. The law that holds the worlds is unmoved by status, unfazed by tears, faithful only to itself. The rain falleth on the just and on the unjust, not as reward or punishment, but as the constancy of cause, functioning as cause. You cannot plead with a multiplication table to make an exception on Thursday. You cannot charm a red light into becoming green because you are late for an appointment. If you violate it, you are violated by your own violation. If you align, you are upheld by your own alignment. There can be no selfish purpose in a cosmic law. Hear that carefully. The moment you conceive of using God to get, to sway, to control, you have stepped outside the sanctuary of principle into the fever of personal will. Do not, I hope you will never try to do it. I have watched through years of practice that whenever a law is treated as a tool, the user cuts himself with the blade he forged. Electricity will warm a home or burn a hand. It makes no decision. It is safe only in right relation. Divine law is safe only in conscious oneness with the one, cause and in neighbor love as conduct. Apart from that, the circuit overheats and the user is singed by his own grasping. Consequences without condemnation. This is mercy at a higher octave than sentiment. You are not shamed. You are shown. The return of your act is the revealing of where you stand, in or out of alignment. As you measure, it is measured to you, not because someone in a far court weighs your deeds, but because measurement is a closed loop. The angle you set determines the structure you raise. The thought you enthrone becomes the atmosphere you breathe. If fear is your God, you will breathe fear and call it prudence. If supply is your God, you will serve mammon and call it wisdom. Ye cannot serve God and mammon. Not a rebuke, an architect's drawing revealing where the load must fall. You ask, does prayer not change things? Only in the degree that prayer changes you from user to instrument. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. When prayer is bargaining, it is noise against the law. When prayer is silence, receptivity, surrender into one, cause, the law that always was begins to bear fruit that always waited. The branch does not demand, it abides. I am the vine, ye are the branches. Abide, and the sap does what sap is. Abide, and the law fulfills itself in you without strain, without plan, without the itch to manage outcomes. And now hear the protective word. Never confuse condemnation with consequence. Do not lash yourself with the whip of regret. If you have stepped against the law, step back. If you have sowed thistles, sow wheat. Forgive 70 times 7 and begin now. The law will not hold yesterday against you. It will only mirror what you are holding today. This is why I say, and say again, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not my cleverness, not my pleading, not my record grace, which is the law of God acting as the life of God in the child of God. Hold this frame, and you are safe. The law can never be used. It can only be yielded to. The moment you stop trying to move the river and place your craft in its current, the current is your power and your direction. And if you should drift against a rock, do not argue with granite. Loosen, listen, let go of the private oar. The river is not angry. It is simply itself, a line, and it will carry you. Resist, and you will feel the edge of your own oar strike your hand. This is the meaning of break it and it breaks you. Not wrath, but reality. Not favoritism, but faithfulness. And in that faithfulness is our safety, our order, our quiet hope. Now we must speak the simplest word as physics and not as piety. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. This is not a sentimental plea. This is not an insecure deity begging attention. No, no. It is a schematic of reality as it is. One cause, one source. A single life expressing. A single law fulfilling itself to set any other power beside that. One is not a moral misstep. It is an engineering error. You are asking the beam to carry a load it was not made to carry, and when it cracks, the house only tells you the math was false. If you will hear this as description and not demand, you will be free. Effects are never to be worshipped. Money, health, reputation, opportunity, these are not powers. They are byproducts. They are the shadows cast when consciousness stands in the light of the One. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added not, manufactured, not coerced, not secured by sleepless nights of strategy. Added by law, as surely as dawn follows the turning of the earth. You cannot get enough shadow by clutching the wall. You turn toward the sun. So with every good, you do not seize the effect. You submit to cause. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. Take that as a working rule. The first commandment will not let you use God to mend your images. It will not let you manipulate effects to quiet fear. The moment you try, you have already placed the second God on the table, personal will, and now you will negotiate with your own echo. Do not do it. Take no thought for your life, what ye shall eat, or what ye shall drink. Your heavenly Father knoweth that ye have need of all these things. The Lord does not require your anxiety to function. In fact, your anxiety is the signal that a rival God is enthroned. Let us expose the subtle idolatry in quiet daylight. What is a God? Whatever you credit with power to bless you or to hurt you. If your pulse quickens at a market report, if your peace hangs on a physician's sentence, if your reputation's weather determines your sky, you have bowed to an effect, not to feel shame, never that, but to see. Little children, keep yourselves from idols. How? By withdrawing attention from the altar of outcomes and returning attention to the One, not by hating money, hating body, hating name, but by refusing to ascribe power to them. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Not because I hold the flock together with my hands, but because Source is shepherding life as life now. Do you see how practical this is? A red light does not hate your car. It organizes the flow. The first commandment does not deny the field of effects. It orders it by insisting on one. When you consent to that oneness, you are safe under principle. You do not have to juggle a universe of pieces. You rest in the wholeness that moves the pieces into place. The radio does not create the music. It tunes to what already fills the air. So practice tuning. Silence the knob of craving a notch at a time. Quiet the knob of fear. And in the hush, be willing to be nothing so that God may be all. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and let the knowing be God's knowing in you. When anxiety about an outcome rises, do not debate it. That too is worship of a second power. You need not conquer a shadow on a wall. Turn to the light. Say softly, not as magic, not as leverage, but as surrender. In my oneness with God, I find my completeness. In my oneness with God, I find my supply. In my oneness with God, I find my health. And let that declaration turn your face, not twist God's hand. Then wait, desireless, without a plan to make results, until the inner current steadies. Often there will come a gentle assurance, not words, not fireworks, a quiet rightness that is alignment. And in alignment, the law operates of itself. Guard this boundary lovingly. Do not put prayer to work on your problems. Put your problems out of work by resting in the one. Refuse the itch to monitor the sprout. The seed knows what to do because causes its life. I and my Father are one. In that conscious oneness, manipulation ends, idolatry withers, and effects assume their true office. Witnesses, not masters. And so I say again, not to get, but to give place to the all. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace, one cause, one source, my sufficiency in all things. If the first commandment turns us toward the one cause, the second closes the circuit through which that cause may safely appear as form. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Not romance, not sentiment, law. Love is the only conductor that will carry divine activity without overheating the wire. With love, the current moves and blesses. Without love, the same current will burn the user not by anger, but by the nature of power mishandled. I am the vine, ye are the branches. The sap is one, the branches are many. Love is the living cambium joining all branches in one flow. Separate yourself in judgment, in resentment, in grasping, and you have pinched the line on your own limb. As ye sow, so shall ye reap. Do not make a proverb of it. Hear the architecture of a field, returning its own seed. With what measure ye measure, it shall be measured to you again. Measurement is a loop. You cannot cast sharp judgments into the world and hope to harvest tender mercies at dawn. You cannot withhold and expect overflow. The law is exact and it is merciful because it shows you where you are. When I want nothing you have, and you want nothing I have, there is no war. Non-competition is love's posture in the marketplace, in the home, in the nation. I do not need your portion. I have none to defend, none to invade, because my sufficiency is of God. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Now to conduct. Keep the line clear. Refuse resentment. Do not nurse it. Starve it of your attention. Bless competitors. not for their sake alone, but because the same vine feeds your shop and theirs. Release debtors. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. If you hold the IOU tight, you tighten your own chest, and you stop the breath of your affairs. If thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, first be reconciled. Why? Because unreconciled thought is corrosion on the terminal. You can polish prayer all night, but the contact won't carry current until love has cleaned it. This is not idealism, it is electrical safety. A short circuit is not evil, it is a condition. Correct the condition. Bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you. Do you think that a counsel so costly would be given as mere decoration? No. It is a wiring diagram for living under power. The instant you answer insult with silence and goodwill, you have wrapped the live wire in love's insulation. You are safe. Others are safe in your presence. And because the circuit closes, the law can function in your affairs without arcing. Never try to put thought on a neighbor. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. In practice, sit in your quiet and remove the body from thought. Let no image of a person be manipulated by you. Let the Christ be the identity of everyone who comes to mind. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. When the click comes, it is not an urge to fix, it is the awareness that God is fulfilling God in all. From that awareness will arise the simple human acts, an apology, a payment, a silence, a blessing by which the wire is kept bright. I recall a merchant who could not move his stock. He tithed, he advertised, he fretted, nothing. One afternoon he saw that he could not pray for sales while resenting the chain store across the street. He went quiet, blessed that store by name, released the small debt he had been doggedly chasing, and sent a note of thanks to a supplier he had criticized. No magic, no bargain. That week not only did his books turn, but a buyer arrived for the slowest line he carried unexpected, exact. What changed? He did. The field returned the new seed. The circuit closed, and the same power that had been heating his nerves began to light his windows. So let us keep it simple and exact. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Close the circuit. Refuse resentment. Clear the line. Bless competitors. Stay out of war. Release debtors. Open the flow. And hold this mantle not as virtue to be displayed, but as safety under law. In my oneness with God, I find my love for every neighbor, because there is no other life here but God's. In that oneness, I do not grasp, I do not fear, I do not compete. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace conducted as love is my sufficiency in all things. Let us take the mystery out of law by taking it out of the clouds. 2 times 2 is 4, not 5 on Fridays. Not 3 for the favored. 2 times 2 is 4 because a principle is what it is all day, everywhere. Violate 2 times 2 is 4, and you do not anger arithmetic. You collide with its certainty. You can plead, but the sum will not reshape to save your face. You can dress the error in eloquence, but the paper will still return to you unbalanced. So when your thought insists on a second power fear beside God, mammon beside God, you are writing 4 as 5. You have not insulted a deity. You have stepped outside principle, and the discomfort that follows is the paper refusing to total. God is no respecter of persons. Principle respects itself. It is the same with a traffic law. A red light does not know your name. It does not remember your past kindnesses, nor is it moved by your hurry. Does a red light hate you? No, no. It organizes the flow. Run it, and you may go through once, twice, thrice, and think yourself clever. But you have merely increased the odds that law will meet you where you have departed from it. If there is an impact, the signal has not condemned. You have met your own misalignment. And if you stop, if you wait, you are not being punished. You are being held safe by an order that protects all who trust it. The rain falleth on the just and on the unjust. The light turns from red to green for all, not as favor, but as sequence. Harmony is alignment. Discord is misalignment. Nothing personal is in it. Consider engineering. The foundation is not a suggestion. Build on sand, and the house may look proud for a season, but the storm will not negotiate. Foundations are not moral, they are mathematical. Whosoever heareth these sayings of mine, and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man, which built his house upon a rock, and it fell not. Hear also the other, and every one that heareth, and doeth them not, shall be likened unto a foolish man, which built his house upon the sand, and great was the fall of it. Do you hear condemnation there? I do not. I hear the architect's drawing. Ignore the load path, and the structure tells the truth when the wind comes. Now, bring this home to what we call spiritual. We are not changing categories. We are seeing the one category of law. The two great commandments are not pious ornaments. They are the rock and the red light and the multiplication table in the realm of consciousness. One cause only, no other gods, and love as the only safe conductor of that cause and action. Align, and the result is exact. Peace, order, protection, sufficiency, as naturally as 4 follows 2 times 2. Violate, and the result is exact. Heat in the wire, collision at the crossing, hairline cracks in the wall. Not a judge frowning, a principle returning your measure to you. With what measure ye meet thee, it shall be measured to you again. When, in my work, I have watched a problem dissolve after alignment, it has never been because I bent the law. It has been because I ceased bending against it. The moment the inner insistence for a certain outcome softened, the moment the private will stop writing 5s on the line, the figures of life balanced themselves with a rightness I could not have arranged. The light changed of itself. The foundation held of itself. The law acted as itself. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. So walk out of mysticism as mist into the clarity of exactness. If there is tension, ask, where have I tried to slip a second power into the sum? If there is friction, ask, where have I pressed through a red light of conscience or of love? If there is wobble, ask, where have I built on sand by trusting effect over cause? Do not argue with the paper, the signal, the blueprint. Return to principle. Stand in the one. Conduct as love. Wait until the inner light turns, and then move with it. This is safety. This is order. This is hope that does not disappoint, because it rests on what is. And if you need a word to steady the hand on the page, take the word that has steadied mine through many nights and dawns. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, not my cleverness, not my hurry. Grace, the faithful law, of the one my sufficiency in all things. Now let us make it simple enough to do. Take a chair. It will be a chair low enough that the thighs rest easily, the feet flat upon the floor. Do not cross the legs. Do not pinch a muscle anywhere. Never rest your arms on hard edges. Let the hands lie where they can forget themselves. On the lap, open, easy. Keep the back supported but not slumped. Upright enough to stay awake. Relaxed enough to be unannoyed. Close the eyes only for comfort, never for magic. There is no occult reason for any of this, only physical ease, so that the body can be set aside. In this position with my eyes closed, I am virtually unaware of having a body. That is the point. To remove the body from thought. Not to exalt it, not to fight it, just to forget it. Let the breath be as it is. Do not push it. Do not count it. Let it come and go while you step back from it, as you would from a clock ticking in the next room. An itch arises, leave it alone. A sound in the street, leave it alone. A memory, a plan, a worry, a bright idea, leave it all alone. No, no. We are not here to manipulate effects. We are not here to bargain. We are here for God. Be still and know that I am God. Not still to get something, not still to make something, still to let God be God in God's own temple. Now turn inwardly as you would turn a knob from static to signal and say nothing for a moment. Then, if the mind asks for a word to steady it, let it be this, gently, scarcely louder than thought. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, not my will, not my cleverness. Thy grace. Say it again and rest. And if a moment later the old habit tries to rise and ask for money or healing or explanation, do not argue with it. Do not feed it. Return to the word. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. This is not a charm. This is surrender. This is the password that closes the door on bargaining and opens the door to quiet knowing. I wait in the state of receptivity. I seek nothing but God. I make no request, no demand, no outline of outcomes. Thy will be done. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. And as I sit, the sense of location softens. Am I here behind the eyes? In the chest? In the foot? No. No. The kingdom of God is within you, but not within a bone or a nerve, within consciousness itself. In that consciousness, the body floats like a leaf on a deep lake. It moves, but I do not chase it. I let sensations pass without comment. I let the breath come and go. I let the world be the world, and I remain still, without purpose but God. Do not expect fireworks. Expect nothing. The Lord does not answer to demand. It reveals itself to emptiness. I wait until wanting grows quiet, until even the wish to hear something fades. Sometimes it is 2 minutes, sometimes it is 20. And in that hush, often the mind ceases its scratching at the door, and a weightless rightness begins to be there, as if a room that was crowded has quietly emptied. It is not a sentence. It is not a mood. It is an unlabored isness. I and my Father are one, not declared, but felt without words. Stay there a little while. Let that which is be all that is. If thought comes, release it without judgment. If the body speaks, bless it by forgetting it again. Keep the heart unhooked from outcomes. Desireless receptivity is the doorway through which law becomes audible and operative. In that receptivity, the one cause conducts its own business, and you are safe to do none but consent. When you rise, Do not clutch the stillness. Move gently, as if carrying a full cup, and carry the password with you to steady your hand at noon and at dusk. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And the law that is faithful to itself will be faithful in you, not as exception, but as order, quiet, exact, enough. There comes, in this very stillness, a moment that cannot be manufactured and must never be chased, the click. It is not a sensation commanded, not an emotion stirred up by music or memory. No, no. It is an inner assent without words. A hinge gives way. A door quietly yields on oiled pins. Where there was reaching, there is rest. Where there was faint insistence, do this, fix that, there is an ease that says nothing and yet says everything. I and my Father are one. Not shouted, not even thought as a sentence. Known, and with that knowing, as unseen as wind and as verifiable as a sail filling, there is the sense that all that the Father hath is flowing right up through here, no detour, no delay, no personal handling. Do not imagine that the click is fireworks. Often it is the exact opposite. Pressure gone, argument gone, the breath doing what breath does without being watched, the mind wide like a quiet field after rain. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. In that instant, the temptation to reach out and do something fades because it cannot live in that atmosphere. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. I have nothing to add. I have nothing to steer. And the marvel, if you will permit me to use so weak a word for so faithful a law, is that effects begin to arrange themselves without mental pushing. I have sat in that rest, and without asking, the telephone has rung with the right word at the right hour. A letter has arrived the next day with the answer already on the way before the question had formed itself upon my lips. I recall a mother from Buenos Aires who wrote that at the very hour I had entered the silence in Boston, a fever that would not break grew cool to the touch. What did I do? Nothing. I did not project myself. I did not send thought. I did not direct energy at a child. God is the actor. The click came. The branch abided in the vine. The sap did what sap is. Sometimes it is guidance. A burdened man rises from the chair and without plan turns down a side street and meets a face that dissolves a quarrel of years. He did not plot it. The click had turned his feet. It is God which worketh in you both to will and to do of his good pleasure. Sometimes it is provision. A bill sits on the desk and the mind is quieted from counting. The click comes and the next simple step, an apology made, a subscription canceled, an unnecessary storage emptied, a gift given appears of itself, and with the act, a door that had refused to budge opens of its own weight. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Standing still is not paralysis. It is consent to the one who moves as right action. You will ask, how shall I know the true click from eagerness, from wish thinking? By its humility and its chastity. The true click forbids interference. It has no target. It names no person to be improved. It seeks no outcome. It does not inflate the sense of a healer handling power. It leaves you empty of ambition and full of peace. If, after silence, you feel large, important, anxious to go out and make things happen, no. Wait again. That was the old engineer returning to draw lines across other lives. The click always returns the government to God. It says, the Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. And then it waits to be led beside still waters into whatever human act love requires. No more, no less. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice. Why? Because the moment I attempt to direct another life, I am outside the sanctuary, and the wire will heat. Love is the only safe conductor, and love does not manipulate. In my conscious oneness with God, I am one with all spiritual being and idea. There is the whole law and the prophets of practice. When that union is felt, the click, the law functions of itself. We neither add to it nor steer it. We watch, grateful, while tensions uncoil like rope released, while the next right thing stands up by itself in the middle of the room, and we simply say yes. So do not hunt the click, do not time it, do not bargain for it. Sit, be still, be poor in spirit, and let it come if it comes, and let it not come if it does not. The law is faithful whether you feel it or not, and feeling often follows obedience as dawn follows night. When it does, bow, let it pass through. Take no credit, accept no blame. Keep the password near, not to provoke the click, but to keep the heart surrendered to the one who is always here. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And as grace suffices, effects will follow in their rightful turn, not as trophies, but as the quiet proof that God alone is cause, and love alone conducts his appearing. There is a sober word that must follow the sweetness of the click, because we are dealing not with sentiment, but with principle. A principle is a double-edged sword. It blesses and it burns by the same edge. Obedience shields. Misuse wounds not by divine anger, but by the impartiality of law. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. This is not threat. This is physics. God is no respecter of persons. The same light that warms will blind if you stare into it to master it. The same current that illumines a city will scorch if you strip the insulation and clutch the wire with a private purpose. Therefore, hear me with love when I say, do not bend the holy for selfish ends. Manipulative prayer is still manipulation. To pray that this person choose you, that judge decide for you, that competitors stumble, is to seize the wheel that is not yours to hold. No, no. When the mind is turned outward with a design on persons, even kindly wrapped, it is a blade turned back upon the hand that wields it. Willpower domination, forcing your thought upon an employee, a child, a partner, may gain a quick human acquiescence, but the recoil is certain. The wire heats in your own nerves, sleep thins, the chest tightens, the face grows set. Occult projection, the sending of thought, the attempt to appear, the shaping of another's choices by unseen pressure. This is the old sorcery made fashionable. Do not touch it. It cuts the user. Put up again thy sword into his place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Not punishment sequence. These warnings are not severity. They are protection. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. I never give human advice. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. Why these restraints? Because the moment I attempt to direct another life, I am outside the sanctuary, and the wire will heat. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. Not yours, not mine. To refuse interference is not indifference. It is love's safety rule. It is to keep the insulation intact so the current may bless without arcing. Resist not evil. is not passivity. It is refusal to meet darkness on its terms, refusal to enter the arena where personal force must always beget counterforce. But listen, because here mercy stands shoulder to shoulder with law. The instant you see that you have cracked the principle, stop, withdraw the mental hand, return to silence, correct the course immediately. Do not delay a single hour in self-defense or self-justification. If thou bring thy gift to the altar, and thou rememberest that thy brother hath aught against thee, first be reconciled, make the call, write the note, pay the debt, release the claim, bless the competitor, undo what can be undone, and where it cannot, put your whole attention back into the one. In that very moment, the edge that cut becomes the edge that heals not by favor, but by alignment. And as you turn, forgive 70 times 7, including yourself. There is therefore now no condemnation to them which are in Christ Jesus. Condemnation is also a second God. Lay it down. Learn and step back under the shield of obedience. If after a silence you discover that you had prayed with a target, say it plainly to the Father within you and let it go. If you have been pressing with will, lay the will at his feet. If you have aimed thought like an arrow, gather your arrows and break them. Stand still and let God be God. Say with a quiet heart, not as magic, but as surrender, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace, thy law, thy order, thy impartial goodness, my sufficiency in all things. Wait until the click returns the government to God, and then move with the simple human acts. Love requires no more, no less. Do not fear the law. Respect it, trust it. When it bites, take it as instruction, not as indictment. A hand upon a hot iron does not mean the iron hates you. It means remove the hand. So with every recoil, remove the hand. Remove the will. Remove the manipulation. Abide. I and my Father are one. In that oneness, obedience is a shield about you, and the same power that would have burned, if mishandled, now illumines and warms your way. And if ever the heart trembles, hold close the password that keeps you in the sanctuary. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Let us make this very plain, because you will not wander far if you learn to notice quickly what steals your attention from the one. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, not one. Every fear points to an idol. Trace fear to its altar, and there you will find the name of a small god demanding sacrifices. Name the usual suspects. Fear of lost money enthroned as cause. Fear of sickness, the diagnosis enthroned as identity. Fear of opinion, reputation enthroned as life. Fear of being wrong, personal opinion enthroned as truth. Resentment, the past enthroned as present power. Each of these says, in a whisper that hurries the breath, there is something besides God upon which your safety depends. No, no. I and my Father are one. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea. Any other dependence is a mask placed upon nothing. So here is the micro practice. In the instant of tightening, stop one breath. Do not bargain. Do not explain. Identify the idol. Say it under your breath if you must. I have been fearing this bill. I have been bowing to money as cause. I have been trembling before a word on a medical page. I have been taking diagnosis as law. I have been guarding my image. I have been worshiping reputation. I have been clutching my judgment. I have been honoring my opinion as reality. Name it and dismiss it. Turn one breath to the one. Live thou thy life in me. Fulfill thyself as peace, as guidance, as sufficiency. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not this paper, not that voice, not my cunning, thy grace. You will find that fear loosens, not because you have argued skillfully, but because attention has been lifted from a second cause. Perfect love casteth out fear. Love here is oneness, no rival to the throne. With the idol unmasked, it has no more power than an unplugged lamp. The current was never in it. The fear was the cord you had plugged into it. Remove the hand. Remove the plug. Return to the vine. Resentment is a subtle idol because it wears our sense of justice like a priest's robe. It says, I must keep the wrong alive so that right may prevail. No, no, judge not, that ye be not judged. Resentment enthrones your private bench as lawgiver and keeps you in the courtroom all night long. Pause, identify the idol. I have been worshiping my grievance. Release it. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Not indulgence, alignment. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Bless the one you have held. In that blessing, the idol starves for lack of your attention. Diagnosis, hear me gently. A report is a description at a given hour, not a God. Whose report will ye believe? If you take a line of ink as the first cause, you have given away the throne. Recognize the fear. Name the altar. Withdraw your worship. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. I am not in the physical. No surgeon has ever yet found any me inside of a body. Identity returns to its rightful place, and then you are free to do whatever human acts love requires. Consult, rest, change your habit without bowing to fear. Cause remains. 1. Reputation. This is a noisy idol with a hollow chest. It says, keep me bright. I am your life. It will have you consult 1,000 faces to learn who you are. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. 1 breath. I have been worshiping the mirror. Lay it down. In my oneness with God, I find my completeness. I need no witness but the one. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Opinion. Oh, the violence we do in the name of being right. When the mind heats, ask, what God have I enthroned? The idol of rightness says, I am the savior of the world, if only I can convince it. No, no, God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. Turn from the heat. Live thou thy life in me. Fulfill thyself as wisdom without contention. And money mark this well. Money is a symbol, a servant. The moment your mood rises and falls with a figure, you have made the symbol a source. Identify the fear. Name the altar. I have been worshiping supply in the cupboard, not supply as cause. Return. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Then, from that sufficiency, you will be led to the next right step, perhaps simple, perhaps surprising, but never again as a beggar before a coin. Keep this inventory quiet and frequent. 10 times a day, 20, in the corridor, at a desk, in the marketplace. 1 breath. What idol have I raised? I see you. You are nothing. Father, glorify thyself. Live thou thy life in me. Fulfill thyself as peace, as guidance, as sufficiency. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And if the mind protests, where am I in all this? Answer it with the question that ends all wandering. When I say I, where is it located? Here in the head, in the chest, in a ledger, in a verdict? No, no. Absent from the body, present with the Lord. In that presence, idols lose their faces, and fear, finding no altar, has nowhere to kneel. Now let us bring this out of the quiet inventory and set it down on the work table of life, money, health, relationships, casework under law. Remember, we do not change laws to suit our cases. We bring our cases under law. One cause only, and love as conduct. No other gods, no other methods. I am merely the instrument. God is the actor. When I forget this, heat comes into the wire. When I abide in it, flow appears of itself. Money first, because its noise is loud. Cease trying to get. The attempt to get declares two powers, lack and supply, and then attempts to wrestle one with the other. No, no. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Addition follows alignment. Become a transparency for flow. Channels vary. Source is one. I recall a merchant who came with a jaw set like a vice around a single expected loan. I would not pray for a lender to yield, nor outline a figure. I entered silence and released all design. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. The click came, and with it a quiet leading. Forgive an old small debt. Cancel a vanity expense. Call not the bank, but a former client with thanks only. He obeyed without bargaining. And within a week the need was met not by the bank at all, but by 3 modest orders and an invitation to share a space that halved his overhead. Give, and it shall be given unto you. Good measure, pressed down and shaken together. He had ceased to clutch channels. He had consented to cause. Flow found its own level. Health, remove the body from thought. Peace precedes adjustment. Cause is not cellular. It is the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh profiteth nothing. I do not treat organs. I do not argue with symptoms. I sit in desireless receptivity until the one is all, absent from the body, present with the Lord. A letter from Cape Town spoke of a woman racked with spasms by night. I did not project myself. I waited in the sanctuary until the click returned the government to God. Nothing else. The next day another letter came. Something quieted. I slept. In the morning I knew to put aside the stimulants I had been leaning on and to rest 2 days. The storm passed. You see, peace first. Then human acts, love, requires simple, sane, unforced rise of their own accord. Sometimes it is a walk. Sometimes it is a physician's wisdom. Sometimes it is a changed pace. Sometimes it is a word of reconciliation that lifts a hidden burden from the body's back. But the order is constant. Cause, then conduct. Spirit, then sequence. Daughter, thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. Peace is the condition in which wholeness becomes visible. Relationships. Love as non-interference. Refuse advice. Extend blessing. Honor, freedom. I never give human advice. I have studiously avoided mental and physical contacts. Why? Because love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Love refuses to take the reins of another life. A father and a grown son sat in my room, like flint and steel. Each wanted me to arm him with reasons. No, no, we ended silence. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. The click came. I said nothing. The next day, separately, they wrote, each had awakened with the same simple instruction. A soft answer turneth away wrath. One brought a chair to the other's shop. The other brewed tea. Words followed, light as rain. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Advice would have tightened the knot. Blessing loosened it until love found its own way to speak. Now set a red light on the corner of home and work. Stop, look, listen, then proceed in love. If the mind heats and the tongue reaches for a sharp word, stop. That is your red signal. Look, where have I made a second power of being right, of being obeyed? Listen until the click or the cooling comes. Then proceed, not as a force, but as a presence. A letter you are eager to send? Stop, look, listen. Does it carry love or does it carry leverage? If leverage, no. Wait for the green of peace. Let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. This is not timidity. This is traffic law in the soul. It keeps collisions from the kitchen, from the office, from the boardroom, as surely as the red light guards the crossing. In every domain, the rule is one. Align with cause, conduct with love, abstain from control, results follow law. Do not chase effects. Let right sequence reveal itself. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. In my conscious oneness with God, I find my completeness. And in that completeness, I meet money needs as flow, health as peace becoming form, relationship as liberty that blesses. Keep the password near until it is the very air of your breathing. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And the order that is faithful to itself will prove itself in you quietly, exactly, enough. The law that kept the father and son from colliding in a small room is the same law that will keep neighborhoods and nations from striking sparks. Principle does not shrink or swell with head count. 2 times 2 is 4 for one mind and for a million mind. A red light on one corner protects a child. A web of red lights across a city protects commerce and quiet sleep. So with the 2 commandments, thou shalt have no other gods but one, and love thy neighbor as thyself. This is the only sustainable public policy of the soul and of society. I am not in the physical. I am not confined to my house or my town. My conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, farmers and judges, merchants and midwives, children and elders. Therefore, I do not pray for a private good. I stand still until the law that blesses the one blesses the many, and then I act as love. Requires no more, no less. Consider the social physics of coveting. Thou shalt not covet is not a private courtesy. It is oxygen for peace. When I want nothing you have, and you want nothing that I have, there is no war, there is simply the free exchange of gifts. Conflict needs the air of grasping to breathe. Remove the want, and the flame goes out. This is not passivity. It is the highest activity of conscience. To refuse to enthrone a second power called advantage. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth. Does not forbid barns. It forbids worship. The moment a people bow to the altar of gain as cause, they arm themselves with fear as a necessity. And the wire heats, police must grow, prisons must grow, gates must grow. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law, and fulfilled law is cheaper than force and surer than walls. Cooperation over competition is not a utopian slogan. It is anatomy. The body does not compete with itself. The heart does not hoard blood and watch the foot go gray. When a fist is clenched too long, the hand cramps. When a few clench the channels of common life, land, food, medicine, truth, the social hand cramps, and the whole body limps. Systems that hoard violate law and collapse of themselves. There is that scattereth, and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is meet, but it tendeth to poverty. The farmer who refuses to leave gleanings at the corners of the field starves the very soil that will feed him next spring. The dam without a spillway promises power and delivers a flood. Give, and it shall be given unto you is not a fundraising text. It is a hydraulic. Flow creates flow. Blockade breeds pressure, and pressure finds a crack. One law, many scriptures. The golden rule is hammered into tablets in one tradition, sung in sutras in another, taught on a hillside in Galilee, whispered along the Ganges, shaped into maxims in the courts of China. Whatsoever ye would that men should do to you, do ye even so to them. If a maxim appears in 6 tongues across centuries, you are looking at principle, not preference. You violate 2 times 2 is 4 in Paris or in Perth, and the bridge falls. You violate do unto others in markets or ministries, and trust falls. God is no respecter of persons, nor of flags, nor of slogans. Principle is impersonal and exact. What then is our civic posture? I never give human advice. I do not tell a people whom to elect or what bill to pass. God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. But I will say this. Sow what you want your street to reap. Integrity, let your yea be yea. Pay wages on time. Keep scales honest. Refuse the bribe even when no eye is on you. Generosity, build policies with spillways. Leave the corners of your field. Make room so that the stranger and the widow may live. Restraint, do not push with fear. Do not weaponize truth. Do not make of your grievance a god. Righteousness exalteth a nation, and righteousness is simply alignment. One cause worshipped, love conducted. Where leaders and led can say from the heart, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Panic loosens its grip. Scarcity loses its crown. Policies take on the shape of mercy without waste and justice without malice. Do not try to use God to pass a measure. No, no. That is sorcery in a suit. Enter silence. Withdraw targets and sides. Bless all, without exception, neighbors and nations, parties and pundits, and wait for the click that returns the government to God. Then do the human acts love requires in your radius. Tell the truth even when it costs. Share credit. Refuse leverage in your bargaining. Forgive the old slight. Hire the one no one will hire. Mend, lend, and befriend without trumpet. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Peacemakers are not appeasers. They are engineers of flow. They set red lights where heat rises and green lights where mercy can pass. From neighbors to nations, the rule does not change. One God as cause, love as conduct. A line and harmony flows of itself. Violate and consequence returns without condemnation. This is the social physics of love. Keep the password beating at the heart of your common life, households, schools, courts, councils, until it tunes the civic ear to one pitch. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Thy grace is our sufficiency in all things. And in that sufficiency may the streets grow quiet, the markets fair, The doors open, and the flags mean what they say, liberty by law, law fulfilled by love. Now we seal the covenant. We do not leave this as a bright thought at the edge of a crowded week. We write it into the hours as bread is written into a table. A simple rule, 3 pauses, and a vow. Morning, midday, night. Not long, not strained, desireless, listening, grateful. Be still and know that I am God. At waking, before the mind reaches for the day, sit where the body is most at rest. In this position with eyes closed, be virtually unaware of having a body, absent from the body, present with the Lord. Say nothing at first. Let the surface quiet. Then let this password open the door. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. Not to get, not to outline. No. Simply to acknowledge the one as cause and love as conduct. Wait until the faint click comes or a soft cooling and rise to do the human acts love requires. At midday, make a red light in your own street. Stop, look, listen. 5 minutes, even 2. Withdraw targets and troubles. Do not try to push a result through the gate of silence. It will not go. Whisper. If the mind is stubborn, thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Then listen. If there is no word, let there be peace. If there is a word, it will be simple and exact. Proceed in love. At night, before sleep, return once more. Inventory without blame. Where did I bow to an idol? Where did I keep the law? If you discover a crack in the day, lay it in the presence without argument. Forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Bless any face that crosses the mind. Let the last impression be gratitude. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. I will lay me down in peace and sleep. For thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Keep the mantra as your daily password. It is not a charm, it is consent. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things, in thought, in traffic, in meeting, in market. Say it when the elevator door closes. Say it when the invoice arrives. Say it when the phone rings hot. The words will not move God. They will move you out of the way. God is the actor. I am merely the instrument. As the phrase becomes the breath of your hours, you will learn to hear the law speaking under noise. Pray without ceasing is not chant without ceasing. It is reliance without ceasing. Now the oneness litany, not as poetry, but as identity. In my oneness with God, I find my completeness, nothing lacking, nothing spare. In my oneness with God, I find my security, no rival cause, no second law. In my oneness with God, I find my peace. The storm may speak, but not to the center. In my oneness with God, I find my joy, not borrowed, not bargained. In my oneness with God, I find my fulfillment, the work finished before I begin to move. And because my conscious oneness with God constitutes my oneness with all spiritual being and idea, this completeness, this security, this peace, joy, and fulfillment radiate as neighbor love quietly, exactly without effort, without interference. Here is the vow that guards the current. I never give human advice. I do not project thought. I do not push will. Let the Father within do the blessing. Judge not, that ye be not judged. Vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith the Lord. I will neither take the reins of another life, nor hand mine to another's fear. I will bless all without exception, and act only as love requires. Where I am tempted to steer an outcome, I stop. I return the government to God, absent from the body, present with the Lord. I keep the insulation intact so that power may serve as light, never as flame. This is the covenant and the rule. Live by two laws. One, God as cause, love as conduct, and let grace be enough for all things. Morning, midday, night, chair, breath, silence. Thy grace is my sufficiency in all things. And as the days string like beads, you will know that the law keeps itself. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I and my Father are one. And so it is. And I thank you